TWB Podcast Hotline.
I gotta ask you, because it's kind of the hot topic right now, what did you think of Fedor beating Tim Sylvia so quickly in the main event? I mean, did you think the fight would last longer than 36 seconds?
Yeah, I kind of thought the fight would go a little bit longer, just in the sense of Tim being able to use his reach, because he did have an 8-inch reach on him, be able to push him outside, keep him away, thinking that he'd be able to at least keep Fedor off him for the first round. But like I've been telling fans for years, Fedor Emelianenko is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and this is the reason why. Went out and took a great UFC champion in Tim Sylvia, who battled back, who won it, lost it, and battled back and got it again. Tim Sylvia is a great fighter. Whether the fans like him or not as a person makes no difference. The fact that he is a great fighter, the fact that he uses his range, his length, his technique, and his style perfectly well for him. And then for him to turn around and get this mantle basically by Fedor that fast, it shows how good Fedor is.
Yeah, definitely. And, what about the rest of the card? Affliction was kind of promoting this show as having the best card ever for an MMA event. How do you think the rest of the event came off last night?
It came off pretty well. We have still the new Andrei Arlovski, which is really the old Andrei Arlovski, against a very good Ben Rothwell, who I picked actually to get the upset of the night and be the underdog of the night. And Ben was in the fight the entire time at the end, so he finally got caught for that knockout. We saw Vitor Belfort back to his old self at a lighter weight at 185. We saw Mike Powell, a more mature Mike Powell, fighting J.J. Ambrose. And it really did end up living up to his card. The one small flaw might be the fact that Matt Lillard expected to just absolutely destroy Miguel. Miguel was very game, kept in the game the whole time, fought his whole way through, took a bunch of hard punches, and kept continuing to fight. And Matt Lillard, after a year layoff, did have some ring rust that kind of showed a little bit. Other than that, it did hold water. It did hold up. All the fights were very game. Josh Burnett with a devastating knockout of Pedro. It was a back-and-forth battle, very close. Gets to the second round, and he catches him finally with an uppercut and puts him down. It really was, in my mind, the best card that's been put together so far in MMA. Now, will that hold true all the way through the end of the year? We don't know. We have to wait and see how the other cards pan out. But obviously, with Fedor coming in and beating Tim Sylvia the way he did, it capped off a great night of incredible fights.
Yeah, and from what you're saying, it's clear that you think now Affliction is providing huge competition for the UFC. What do you think about Elite XC? What do you think about the way they've built their cards? Do you see them as trying to build cards that are more geared toward just the knockout? What do you think about the Elite XC promotion?
No, I'm not really sure what Elite XC is doing. They're for a long time been promoting Kim and Kimbo Slice, trying to make him push himself up to the top. And then all of a sudden they realized when he fought Jason Thompson, he's not really ready for that kind of push. So they're backing him off a little bit. But now with next weekend they fight with Robbie Lawler and Scott Smith fighting each other, and that's going to be a good fight. They can go either way. It was very close before the eye poke that ended the first fight. So I think it's going to be. I think the cards are going to be better. The one thing that I say is that the first time on CBS, they had this great card going off, but they only had one guy that was actually ranked in the top 10 of any weight class, and that was Robbie Lawler, but they really weren't billing him or pushing him for anything. They were kind of pushing him off into obscurity, and it should have done that. It should have made Robbie Lawler one of the main events, one of the headliner guys, and forced him to, because he was the only ranked guy that they had actually out there that all MMA fans could get behind, see the rankings and see that Robbie Lawler is ranked 4th or 5th at 185, and deservedly so.
Now, you mentioned earlier, Frank, that Fedor, you see him as being the best pound for pound in the world. Have you had a chance to go back and watch Anderson Silva's victory over James Irvin last night?
Yeah, absolutely, I did. Toss him around for pound. Anderson Silva, Fedor Emelianenko, BJ Penn, George St. Pierre, and Randy Couture. Those are the basic 5 names that everybody pitches around. Now, if you look at those 5 names, and as I was actually eating last night dinner with the family of the show, the fight event was replaying, and that's what I was watching. It was being a good card in the sense of, I got to see Reese Andy, a former wrestler that I knew when he was wrestling in Wyoming, and the fight, very game branded, very well all the way through to the decision. But watching Anderson Silva in that fight, yes, he showed his dominance over James Irvin, but you still have to look at it that not very long ago, Anderson Silva had a loss. He lost to somebody. He lost to Rio Chonin. He lost to Okami. It was a disqualification to a legal kick, but he got taken down. Okami's in the middle of passing his guard, and he kicked him in the face, and that's just the way it works. You look at all the other guys' records around there. Fedor's the only one that's undefeated. I know everyone says, what about the TK fight where he, it was a loss because he got the cut and he had to stop the fight to begin with. They went back and ruled it a no contest because TK cut him open by throwing an elbow. In rings, at the time, when those rules, you couldn't throw an elbow, so it's an automatic no contest because it happened 15 seconds into the fight. There's unintentional elbow, but the elbow is what caused the cut. That caused the finish of the fight, makes it no contest. So, with that, Fedor, of the 5 guys being measured for pound, he is the only guy that's undefeated. And he beat Krokop in his prime, Nogueira in his prime, Fajita in his prime. He's gone through the only 2 fights we haven't seen him compete in is Josh Barnett and Randy Couture. Those 2 fights are now probably going to happen because Barnett's an Affliction, obviously. He looked great last night against Pedro Rizzo. And then Couture said last night publicly that, yes, we'd love to have this fight happen if his contract with the UFC gets panned out. He'll turn right around and fight. So with that, of those 5, the only undefeated guy in that path, you have to say the last emperor of Russia is the emperor of the top guys. Now, all the other guys have to be mentioned. They have to be in that pound for pound. They are the pound for pound best 5 guys. There's always an argument back and forth. But after last night's event, you cannot argue anymore about who the best of the 5 is. That's Fedor. That's the way it is.